Mikayla, fais-moi une spin. Oui, wow. Fais-moi spiral. Wow, yay. Et c'est donc que tu sais comment faire. Woo.
Hi, I'm Mikayla Kramer. I'm from Whitehorse, Yukon, and I'm a professional figure skater. I started figure skating like as soon as I could walk, pretty much, or even before that. So I guess when I was like 3-ish, and I've skated ever since. Both my aunt and my mom were figure skaters, and as a kid, like my parents put me in every sport, like swimming. I hate swimming. Swimming, skiing, soccer, and figure skating is just the one that stuck. I just had so much fun with it and so much joy, I guess you could say, whereas soccer is just a team sport. I like my individual sports, I guess you could say. I don't know, I think maybe just hearing stories from my mom and aunt, like them growing up skating, and I just maybe wanted to follow in their footsteps. I don't know, I just loved it, I guess. I remember my first one down in BC, because BC and Yukon always compete together. It was in Parksville, which is on the island, and I remember it's such a big deal for like a little Yukoner going to these competitions, or these bigger competitions down south. And I remember my first one, I think I was about 6, so pretty young, I guess you could say. And it's like the first competition with like the whole Yukon figure skating team pretty much. And it was so much fun. So this is my first summer back since grade 3, I'd say, which is really strange, but I'm loving it. Like, the summers here are gorgeous. And so in grade 3, during the summer, we would like go to Coquitlam, which is in British Columbia, and we'd go train there over the summer. But my family would come for that, and we kind of make it like a vacation, I guess you could say. And then as I got to about like grade 7 or 8, we moved to Kelowna, and that's where I ended up going to high school there and training there competitively for like 6 or 7 years. I think everyone knew that it was time. Like at one point you kind of just outgrow the skating community here, and you're like, okay, well, you can either just stay here and like be okay with that, or you can go down south or go somewhere else to train at a higher level. And I mean, you see it with like Rachel and Bryn, they all moved down south to different clubs to be able to support their skating. And yeah, and everyone's really supportive of those decisions, which is great too, because there's like such a strong community here for sports and supporting those high-level athletes that do need to go train somewhere else. I find every athlete from the Yukon is very proud to represent the Yukon, and I certainly am. I had a love-hate relationship with competing, I guess you could say. I loved performing, even if my jumps were going terribly. I was just always told like, okay, go put a show on, go have fun, go make the judges smile. And that's something I really took to heart. And so I always loved performing, which kind of goes with competing, but not necessarily. There's nerves and pressure along with it. So yeah, I love the performing part, but definitely like it takes a lot out of you, like the pressure side. Not that I felt any pressure, but I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself. I was fortunate to not have any other pressures, really, just like the pressures of myself. And I think that was being raised in like such like a positive type of vibe. So I think when I was younger, I didn't care as much, because you're younger and you're like, oh, this is so cool, like soaking it all in. As you got older and like I wanted to make it to nationals and like keep pushing through the season, the pressures probably got a little more intense, until I realized, I think my last year, that, okay, I'm just doing this for myself. And that was like a game changer. I mean, obviously I wish I figured that out sooner. But I mean, I was always like trying to convince myself, oh, I'm doing this for myself, but it never was. And until I figured that out, it was hard. I remember my first one, like I wasn't doing my hair, I wasn't doing my makeup, like my mom was doing it for me. And then as I got older, I started doing my makeup, and that kind of became like my calming thing. So, you know, I'd spend, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours doing my makeup and my hair before the competition. And then I got to the point where it's like, okay, I need a little caffeine before my competition, so I'll take a chai latte. So that would be my like routine before competition, is I'd have a chai latte. It'd be kind of like my good luck charm, and I'm not like superstitious or anything like that, but like, yeah, so I'd have a chai latte and I'd spend time staying calm doing my makeup. And then you get to the venue, and that's where you meet up with your coaching team, and you have to like register, sign in your music, and then about I'd say 45 minutes before you take the ice for your warm-up, you go and do like your warm-up, and then you put your skating dress on, your tights, and you put your skates on, and the next thing you know, that 6-minute warm-up starts, and it's almost your turn to compete. Even though like it's such like an individualized sport, you're still training with pretty much everyone that you're competing with, so you do kind of become a team. And then when you do go to competitions, I do find there's like a lot of support between all the skaters. They're like, oh, like you did amazing, or like good job, or like say you did have a hard competition, like maybe after they're done competing, they'll still be there for you and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say there's still like a lot of interactions between like all the skaters and stuff like that. I represented the Arctic Edge Skating Club throughout my entire career, I guess you could say. And so I went to Arctics when I was a baby with the team in Fairbanks. Yeah, I think it was 2014. And then in 2015, again, I was a child, but I went to Canada Winter Games, and that was like eye-opening. And my mom went with me because I was a child. But then in 2019, I went to the one in Red Deer, the Canada Winter Games Red Deer. And I went, that was like kind of my first competition that I went like alone, just like with the team. And it was so much fun. Like it was amazing, like such a good experience. But yeah. You're trying to get everything done that you need to get done to get ready and to get, like feel the ice, because it's not like you're out there for your hour practice, you're out there for 6 minutes. So you do like a couple laps of like stroking, and then you're right into your jumps right away, and then maybe some spins at the end if you have time, or some turns or sequences and stuff like that. So it's like high intensity, high pressure, I guess you could say. And then if you're not the first skater, you have, right after the warm-up, you have all this time between. There's usually 5 to 6 skaters in like a warm-up group. So you have all this time between the first and maybe the last skater, where you're, I usually, if I'm the last like 3 skaters, I would take my skates off, because there's that much time, because you have all the skaters to compete, all the skaters to get their results. So that's like about 6 to 7 minutes per skater. So if you're the last skater of that group, you have about like 30 to 40 minutes between your warm-up and your performance. So that can be mentally hard too, because you're like, oh crap, I'm not warm anymore. Or not, I'm warm, but I'm not on the ice warm. And then once you're like doing the performance, you know, there's a lot to think about. There's the, okay, I need to perform. Oh, okay, next is a jump. Oh yay, I landed it. Let's move on. Oh no, I fell. Gotta get up, keep going, reset type of thing. So yeah, it depends on the competition and how it's going, but there's a lot of things that can vary. I mean, it's not like we don't fall when we're practicing our programs like in practice. It's just, maybe it's less embarrassing when you don't fall when everyone's watching you. But like say, and I would fall every competition probably. Not everyone, but like most of them. You get up and you try to reset and put it in the past and like move on. Like you really try to take one thing at a time. So, you know, section by section, jump by jump, spin by spin, be like, okay, I fell, that's okay. Well, the next take or like the next jump, like you got this type of thing. Just like try to stay positive, I guess you could say. If you're not mentally there, it's gonna be hard, right? Because you're falling, you know, you're like jumping into air on these tiny little knife blades, ice blade colors, and you're like hoping to land on the tiny little blade after like rotating in the air, and maybe a lot of the times falling when you're like just learning it out, or if you're not consistent and stuff like that. So like, yeah, you start off in the year, I'd say I never started off strong, and you don't want to anyways. And then you like go through ups and downs, and then I would usually peak around the right time, which is good. But then I guess wouldn't be able to maintain that peak long enough, but that's okay. My last year competing, I was a junior woman. You know, I wasn't winning or anything, but yeah, it's a junior woman, and like the highest of high level, like if you watch the Olympics, they're competing senior, which is junior, and then it's senior. I was gonna do one more year and become a senior ladies, but I was at a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore, so I stopped. I think I was just like sick of it. I was like, okay, it's time to move on. Yeah, I think it was just like time to move on. It's hard too when you're like putting in so much effort and you're just not seeing result, or like it's hard to maintain the result, I guess you could say. I was also like the oldest training there, I guess you could say, which is hard sometimes, but like I had my other support systems that wasn't skating, that were at my age, but I think it was definitely like my strongest year. And like in a normal year, that was the COVID year, so all the competitions was actually maybe helped me, were like videotaped, so maybe that was like less pressures because there's like all of a sudden there's no judges, it's just a camera. Yeah, that was weird, but it's fine, we did it. So all the competitions were of camera pretty much, so you do your warm-up still, and I think there was maybe like one official there just to like make sure that you're not like faking the warm-up, like you're actually doing like a real warm-up and stuff like that. But then like to like limit contact and stuff like that, they had like a camera on the side of the boards, and it would just like follow you around, and you'd be videotaped for your competition, and then it would like be sent off. So you do this probably like 2 weeks before like the actual competition date, and then it'd be sent off to the judges, and it'd be like a virtual event. It was like actually very well organized, I have to say. I was just starting to hate figure skating, and I never hated it before that point. And I was like, I can't do one more year if I'm going to show up to training and like not want to be there, or like just have a miserable time every time. So I'm really happy I stopped when I stopped. And as much as that last year was hard, like I didn't necessarily like want to do it. I'm glad I like persevered, I guess you could say, and did it, because I think it was actually like my strongest year. So I'm glad I finished on a high note. I think it depends on everyone. I was a bit lost, and I was also like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Like, what do I do now? I took the route of I'm not done skating. Like, I don't want to just end skating this way, and I went into shows, and I'm really happy I did. Again, I was gonna do one more year competing, like in senior year, but then everything changed, and I was like, I can't compete one more year, so I'm gonna apply and do shows. And next thing you know, like 5 months later, I'm traveling, doing shows, and I'm very happy I did because it like kind of like, I guess, like concluded my skating. You're still caking on that makeup every day before shows. If anything, you're putting more on now, but it takes me less time. I time myself. If I want to do it fast, I can do it in 11 minutes. But that's like, it does not look pretty. I look like the clown afterwards. But I usually take about 30 minutes to do my makeup, which is fine. Again, it calms me. It's my ritual. But it's different. It's just much more like chill environment, and like you're just skating. Everyone loves skating, and it's very much performing. Like there's no pressure. I mean, there's the audience pressure, but you just get used to that. And it's so fun. Yeah, like you just perform every day, which again, as I like mentioned, like I love performing, and that's what I always loved. So like it's a good suit for me. I was really fortunate throughout my entire training career. I had really high body, like really great body relationship, food relationships. And I think that's really based on how the coaches approach it and your environment, how you're approached by it that way. So I really didn't like struggle with any like body image issues or like food insecurities, I guess you could say. Is actually the hardest part was after I was done skating, because all of a sudden I'm not training 3 to 4 hours a day. So, you know, my body's changing, and I finally first started to experience these like body image issues that I had never experienced before, or very rarely experienced before. So that's like within the last year, something that I've really like tried to like persevere through. And obviously some days are much better than others, or months, or even like it's definitely getting better, and it takes time because it's a big change. So definitely like that change from like competitive figure skating to retirement, I guess you could say, is what has been the hardest mentally that way. Just like trying to accept every day that, okay, I'm not a 16-year-old girl training 3 hours a day anymore. Like my body's going to change, and that's something that I have to accept, and that's just going to take time. And I think it's hard because there's not that many like supports for athletes like coming out of training with issues related to that, or maybe there are and I'm just not aware of them. But I think that's something that's like lacking, is like post-training, post-athlete recovery. I don't know how to word it. But I think also what helped me is my friend on the road, who was really good at like rewording things, or like being like, no, you're strong, or no, you need food, food is fuel, or like, and just myself also realizing like I want to try and stay active for life, even if that's not training 3 hours a day. More like, okay, today I'm walking, or today I'm doing a light skate just for fun, you know, just like trying to like always stay active for life. And that's like important for everyone. Just like trying to put out, like being like really positive and body, like nutrition is important, staying balanced, and like injury prevention even, right? Because there's some coaches that are just like, no, push through the injury, you know, and that's not good. I think my mom and my aunt, they were figure skaters, but just also in general for like life, they're my big role models and support systems, the people I like always talk to if I need anything. And then my favorite figure skaters in the whole world are probably like Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer, and I'm sure everyone knows those names. So yeah, it's such a big part of your life, and if you hate going to practice every day, like what's the point of doing it? So, you know, like just having joy with what you do and fun with it, even if you don't do it competitively, it's just like a good thing to, I guess, have for life. As I'm transitioning into like coaching and stuff like that, that's really something I want to like promote, I guess, for younger skaters and just like younger athletes. One of my favorite memories, or just like, I guess a core memory you could say, from skating when I was training is It was my first like Canada Winter Games in Prince George, I think. Again, I was a child, but I skated. I wasn't the best one there. I wasn't gonna win. It was obvious, just this little kid from the Yukon, but I was like giving it. And I skated to this like fun piece. It's called Zorba's Dance. It's like, it's upbeat and stuff like that, and there's like a good rhythm to it. And then I skated clean, I didn't fall or anything, but I remember everyone clapping to like the beat of the rhythm, and like it was packed on the side. But that's it. It's just like so fun. Of course, if the crowd is hyping you up, you're just gonna be like sending it. So loud. Like that's like something I'll never forget. And you can't even describe how it feels because it's, yeah. So this like touring showgirl thing was supposed to be just 1 year. I'm doing it for 1 more year because I couldn't pass up this opportunity. But then I'll go back to school, and everyone's like, oh, you're gonna stay for longer now that you signed your second contract. And I'm like, no. I am applying to school. I also like, I loved my experience, but I can't live in a hotel room. Some people just do like Uber Eats or like Uber or whatever, or DoorDash, I mean. But a lot of some other people, they get like these like skillets, these like, yeah, that you just get on Amazon, low-key sketchy, and then you just like cook in your hotel room. And it's fine. I didn't cause any issues. Okay, the cookies didn't work. Like towards my end of like I was always gonna go to like post-secondary because again, school is really important. I think it is too, not just my family pushing that down on me. So yeah, I wanted to do probably something related to sport just because it's been like such a big part of my life for so long. So, you know, I was like thinking of like applying to post-secondary for like, I was in human kinetics, and then now I'm thinking like psychology of like sport and stuff like that. We'll see where it goes. It's either sports or again, like we talked a bit about like eating disorders and like issues around sport that aren't just physical ones, like mental ones or emotional ones too. So anything like that would be interesting, I think. I think it's really interesting. I'm like a nerd. I took psychology classes in like high school and I really liked it. So I'd always thought maybe like, I don't know, kinesiology, human kinetics, or psychology. I'd love to do both, but it's not an option. So I had to pick one that I liked, and I like psychology better, so. And of course I want figure skating to be a part of my life forever. Like I was always taught, which I think really helped with like the pressure thing, is like sport for life or like skate for life. So that means like you don't have to be like competing or like jumping or your whole life, but just like find that joy with skating, even if it's like just like going for a joy skate once in a while. Or like for me, I think skating for life will be transitioning into like coaching more and like choreography, because I really enjoy doing it, and that'll, you know, help me with like supporting my school, as well as like give me a break from real life if I ever need it.
Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headaches stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack. And sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief. There's something that'll have what you need. What you need.
Shout out to my family for sometimes dealing with a difficult, very dramatic person, especially Annika. I know I'm kind of a drama queen sometimes, and a bitch.
Well, that's an understatement.
And overreact.
Love that. Perfect. All right.
Bye.
Right.
We're broken, it's tragic. We're not all elastic, but maybe there's magic. Believe you could have it. And I know of sadness, the anxious and panic, the infinite vastness of